another train of thought and challenging the status quo. You are now entering the paradigm.
Well, good morning. This is the Paradigm Shift, and it is January 26, 2018. This is the Cerberus Radio Network, protecting the flames of tyranny. And we are going to try this Facebook Live again this morning. It did create some issues last Monday, to Radio Co., which is our primary place to be. If we're not streaming on Radio Co., then we're not a radio station. So I'll try this again today. What I did do today, though, is I'm not streaming video to YouTube right now. So right now we're just streaming live. When I get to the first break, we will be going away from Facebook Live. You're getting a chance to see the radio station, our radio show being produced by me and played live on Facebook Live, at least to the first break. And at first break, for those of you watching on YouTube, we will have the video back up streaming there as well, and Facebook will go away because I have to be able to stream to Radio Co. That is our radio station. So at the break, when Facebook Live goes away, you can either watch on YouTube live, or you can go to our Facebook page and find a link to Radio Co., and it will be continued to stream live on Radio Co. On Facebook that are listening and watching, this is, again, the Paradigm Shift, and I'm your host, Jeff Johnson. And in the background is in the room with me, and not physically in this room. She's in our virtual studio room, and she will probably chime in at some point. And if you want to listen to her show, which I highly suggest, her show will be live at 10 a.m. immediately following this show. And I might as well give you the lineup. We have another live show, Daniel Bailey. He's on usually around 6 a.m. in the mornings. He's a trucker, and he's on the road. So 6 a.m. he usually does his show. And that is the Bailey Report. Those are our three live shows right now. We are working on getting some others. We do have the other side. Mike and Justin do that show. They will probably be podcast at 9 o'clock at night. We have the Brush Fires of Freedom. My good friend Sean Hoffine. I love Sean Hoffine. If you get a chance, listen at 1 p.m. today to his Brush Fires of Freedom. Is just fantastic. You will enjoy his show. He is quite the character. So at 1 this afternoon that we have the Brush Fires of Freedom, and his show is about 47 minutes because he's on terrestrial radio and they have their breaks. So after that last, when he goes off, for the last 15 minutes, we have Peter Schiff, Schiff Gold Report. It's the Friday Gold wrap up. So if you're interested in some economic news, listen to the Shift Gold Friday Gold wrap up at about 1:45 of Brush Fires of Freedom. Oh, let's see. We also have Mike Meharry from the 10th Amendment Center. He runs from 11 to 1. He has there's about 12 podcasts in there. His is about 10 minutes long. So you can hear a bunch of good history from the 10th Amendment Center from about 11 to 1. So that's pretty much what's running on our station. We have quite a bit of different content. So go to Radio Co. Go to our Facebook page and like our Facebook page, and then you can find the links. And again, like I said, at the break at about 20 after, the Facebook's going to go away, and you can go to YouTube, Cerberus Radio Network. Go to our Facebook page and find Cerberus Radio Network there, and you can hit the link to Radio Co. and you can listen to it. We also have a low bandwidth. If you're on a short data leash and you can't stream a lot, we have a low data usage. It's a 64-bit. It will use very little it will use very, very little data. All right. So let's get started into some of the news. This was just an interesting piece I found from a good friend of ours, Greg Carpenter, who has a radio show called The Reverse Deception. And Greg posted this, and I wanted to just kind of hit on it real quick, and then I have some other economic news. This is Russia to create a bank for sanctions hit defense industry. Russia announced Thursday the creation of a state-owned bank to finance its defense industry, which has encountered difficulties in obtaining financing due to U.S. sanctions. So, not only are we bombing people all over the world, we are in wars where we aren't declared war. We're also committing economic war against Russia by having sanctions against them. What will happen if they start putting sanctions against us? Has anyone ever thought about that? Everyone's always gung ho. The Russians are evil. Russians are evil. Let's put sanctions against them. Well, we have a lot to lose. We're 21 trillion in debt. What happens if they decide they're going to? We'll get into that here. Let me just read a little bit more. In a statement, the Russian finance minister said the bank would specialize in conducting operations related to state defense orders and target state contracts. What happens if they, China, maybe India, and a few others decide on the dollar anymore? I mean, because the dollar is the world reserve currency. Oil's traded in the dollar. Everything is traded in the dollar. What happens if Russia, China, India, and a few other countries around the world decide they're not going to trade in the dollar, they're going to trade in gold? Or they're going to trade in whatever monetary unit they're going to trade in. See how we have a lot to lose? Our economy would take a massive hit. So we've opened an economic war against Russia, who's putting sanctions against them. If they do the same thing back at us, you see how this can lead to a actual real shooting war? And this is how wars have started in the past. Let's go to the next article here. So not only are we committing economic war against Russia, let's go to this Newsweek article I found. I heard this the other day on the news, and I said, I have to find this because this is actually important news. China, South Korea protest Trump's steep tariffs on washing machine, solar panel imports. South Korea has stepped up Asian opposition to the Trump administration's steep tariffs on imported washing machines and solar panels, filing a complaint Thursday to the World Trade Organization, claiming that the U.S. is inconsistent with WTO safeguards. According to Reuters, South Korea joined China in raising concerns over a move that is expected to hit their markets particularly hard. Now, I just said Russia's opening a bank because we're sanctioning them. Now, through tariffs, we are impacting China and South Korea's markets in a bad way. Here's another thought. South Korea is talking to North Korea again. What if they combined? Now South Korea has a nuclear arsenal, and they're not real happy with us anymore. So now the South and the North aren't happy with us. China's not happy with us. Russia's not happy with us. See how economic policy can create something that is far worse than what they're creating. Has put these high tariffs on these products over there. We're already at war all over the world, killing people without declarations of war. A lot of people, those people don't like us either. Now, I hope you guys are feeling very, very safe out there now. Following the Trump administration announcement of its first significant trade action of 2018 Monday, South Korea giant LG Electronics warned retailers to expect a price hike of about $50 on some washing machines. See how the second wave of this affects us? So we put these tariffs on their products, making their products more expensive to get here. And then who is going to pay the price of that tariff? Not that country. You are. You out there in Facebook land, you out there in YouTube, you out there in Radio Co. You're going to pay that tariff, that tax, because a tariff's a tax. You're taxing their products coming in. So you raise the tax on it, and who's paying it? That's right. We do. So really, it's just a tax on us. They're not getting enough from us now. They need to get more. I mean, we talked here. I know there's some people listening that are around the New York and the Pennsylvania area. We talked often and recently about the tax on gasoline here in Pennsylvania, making diesel, which I have a Dormex diesel, making diesel about 50 cents a gallon more expensive in Pennsylvania. What's that 50 cents? It's all tax. So I go to New York. I'm not gonna feed the beast in Harrisburg. I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure I buy my fuel in New York State. Because I can. I'm 7 miles from New York State. So I can go over there and I get my fuel there. But it's never enough. And Russia, they're going to open a bank. And them and China have already hinted that they may drop the dollar as the U.S. or as the world reserve currency. So, I mean, they're already talking about it. They're already thinking about it as a response to what we're doing economically against those countries. So let's continue on with this Newsday story. China, who is the world's biggest producer of solar panels and a nation that exported 21 million washing machines worth almost $3 billion in 2017, has called the tariffs an abuse. All right, so we are significantly impacting their economy over there. If we're talking, they did what was it again? About $3 billion in washing machines. That's just washing machines. That's not including the solar panels, which they're the largest exporter of solar panels in the world. So, I see some more listeners just joining us. This is the Cerberus Radio Network, protecting liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny. And you're going to be here until the first break, about 20 after. And then you can watch us on YouTube, and you can listen to us on Radio Co. If you go to our Cerberus Facebook page, there's a link to our radio station on radio.co, and you can listen there. We have a low data stream as well. And we're talking about tariffs. We're talking about economic wars that we're perpetrating around the world. As I said, we just placed a large tariff on washing machines and solar panels. China and South Korea are very unhappy with us because it significantly impacts them. I was talking earlier about Russia opening a bank because of our sanctions against them. They're not happy with us. This is how we get into wars. We will have to deal with these people because now we have made enemies of rather large countries, first world countries. These people have first world armies. That means they are pretty much on par with our military. So we have tariffs. Again, like I said, this is going to affect you because now washing machines and other products from these countries are going to cost more. So what is the point of all this? Why are we... I realize that Trump is putting America first. But in doing so, he is putting us in grave peril. As I started this whole thing out with the Russia thing, they will respond in some way or another. Right now, they're starting this bank. Once they start this bank, it is a short trip for them to drop the dollar as the world reserve currency. China could easily drop the dollar as the world reserve currency because they're very unhappy with us now, would drop it. India has already expressed interest in dropping the dollar as the world reserve currency. that would have a significant impact on our lives. If that dollar became worthless, which it would, they've already printed trillions of it because of their debt. We're 21 trillion in debt. They keep printing money to keep up with what they owe. With inflation, devalue the dollar. What happens when these other countries drop us? You think our economy is going to be doing very well? This is the danger of entering into these economic wars. We're, like I said, we're already stretched thin. We have our military all over the world engaged in wars. All over the African continent, we have our military. Don't believe me? We had those Green Berets killed in Niger a few months ago in a battle. We have soldiers on the ground in Syria. We have soldiers on the ground in Iraq, Afghanistan. We have soldiers on the ground all over the world. We have our empire. We have military bases in 170 or so of the nations of the world, to the tune of $1 trillion a year. How much? So everyone here, I mean, everyone out there is probably saying, well, what are you, against the military? No, I'm against defense. I'm against, I'm against the empire. How much defense are we going to have when the economy craps to bed because people pull the world currency, our status as world currency? We're not going to have much. So, what do? Well, that's the 500-pound gorilla in the room. We have to figure out how we're going to affect change. Now, are we going to be able to change Washington, D.C.? I highly doubt it. So where are we going to make the change? We got to do it locally. We got to start making the changes in our states. Now, I realize I work in New York State, and I know there's listeners out there that live in New York State, and quite honestly, don't know that there's much hope for changing New York State either. I have some stories I'm going to get to after the break about New York State as well. But New York State is losing more people than they're gaining. So more people are leaving because it's pretty much a lost cause. And eventually what's going to happen, and right now they're $4 billion in the hole, and he's talking about spending money like he has that $4 billion and another $4 billion on top of it. So perhaps that is one solution for you. Move to a state where you can affect change and you can be important in that change. I know that Texas has the Texas Nationalist Movement. They're working diligently to leave this union, which I wholeheartedly support. California has a secession movement. Matter of fact, they have a couple different ones. They have New California, which is most of the rural counties want to leave California altogether and then join as the 51st state. My suggestion to them is don't join, because then you don't need anyone's permission. The second you want to come in, then you need Congress's permission to secede and then come back in. Just secede. Become your own country. You're much better off. And then if down the line you decide you want to join, then you try to join. But don't ask their permission. Secede. Leave. Make yourself a country. You have the ability with your the economics there of California, that you could be a very wealthy country in the world today. All right. I'm going to shut off the Facebook Live now. I'm going to come back with video now on the YouTube channel. Thank you for listening on Facebook Live. You can go to our Facebook page and find the radio.co link and go there, and you can just listen to us on our radio station, or you can go to our Facebook page, Cerberus Radio Network, and you can find the YouTube link, and you can go there and continue watching us live on YouTube, and I hope you will. I hope you guys will go out there, go to the our YouTube channel, subscribe. We have, at last count, about 118 shows on there. with the Wasatch Report, the Bailey Report, the Renegade Rambler Show, the Paradigm Shift. So please like us on Facebook, follow us there. You'll see we always post when we have live shows. We have something going on the radio station 24 hours a day. We have lots of podcasts there. As I said, we have Shift Gold with the Friday Gold Wrap-Up. We have the Brush Fires of Freedom. We have The Other Side. We have a bunch of podcasts there. We have the 10th Amendment Center, Mike Meharry for 2 hours in his podcasts. So there's lots of content. Please go there. Please listen. And thank you for listening this morning. And go over to Facebook and find those links. And this is the Cerberus Radio Network. Defending liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny. We are going to take a quick break here. Welcome, YouTube listeners. Now the video's live for you guys. So let me just keep that, and now I'm done with Facebook stuff. We are going to take a quick break here. If I can get the right mouse. Radio Network, defending liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny.
Once upon a time, once when you were mine, I remember skies reflected in your eyes. I wonder where you are. I wonder you think about me. Once upon a time, in your wildest dream.
You won't disappear when you wear Tail Gunner Apparel custom camo clothing and all natural bath and body products for women and men too. And don't forget to ask about their line of custom home products and bed scarves. Look awesome, better. Tail Gunner Apparel. On Facebook at Tail Gunner Apparel and at tailgunnerapparel.etsy.com. That's tailgunnerapparel.i.com.
Stand out in the fashion world.
Cerberus Radio Network, protecting liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny.
Well, welcome back to the network. And now that I've had a chance to kind of unwind and turn Facebook Live off, it really does look like I won't be able to do that Facebook Live. It looks like I lost connection at a short period of time there. Reestablished. So we're fine with that. And actually, it streamed the entire shutdown. And then when I shut down, I lost connection for a few seconds. I might be able to do it. We'll see. But at any rate, welcome back to the Paradigm Shift here on the Cerberus Radio Network, defending liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny. And before the break, we were I'm no economist, but I am a pseudo historian. I love history. I read a lot about history. And when we tried tariffs, didn't work out too well for us. Smoot, if you think about your history, right before what is called the Great Depression, was passed called Smoot-Hawley. So the last time we tried tariffing countries, worked out well. We ended up in what, again, like I said, the Great Depression. Let's see here. So from 1929 to 1933, America suffered the worst economic decline in its histories. Real national income fell by 36%. So think about this. So what you're making now falls by 40 or more percent. So let's just make it easy. Say it's $40,000 a year you're making. 24. Can you lose $14,000 of your income overnight? I know that it would have a significant impact on me. Unemployment increased from 3% to over 25%. So think about this. Forget that you lost 40%. A quarter of you out there lost your jobs. See the significance of committing economic countries? There are consequences. Now, what caused that? Well, the whole world just crashed. The economies of all the countries crashed. No one can keep up with it. I mean, pretty much you look around there, you look at that's around the time of the Weimar Republic, and shortly thereafter, what rose over there after the economic disasters going into the 30s? Well, in the 30s, they had Hitler rise out of the ashes of that Great Depression, and it was a worldwide depression. There are consequences to what this country does. Blowback. By bombing all these countries with impunity, he said that they create, and this wasn't his term, this came from the CIA. The CIA actually, he took a lot of ridicule for talking about blowback. It was the CIA that came up with this idea and this concept. Because what happens? We're bombing these countries over there, and we're killing people. We're killing women and children. We're killing families. The family. Well, now they don't like us. And they join the Taliban. They join ISIS. They join whoever. Those movements grow because blowback. We're creating more of them by committing acts of war against people we haven't even declared war with. All right, here's the deal. If you want to go over there and do this, then declare war, send a massive army over there, declare victory. But you're going to have to kill them all. We're talking 100%. There's no one left over there. Just make it a colony. Because if you leave anyone alive, they're going to hate us, and they're going to continue this until the day we die. See the futility of this? Bring them home. If we don't do this, again, we're $21 trillion in debt. We're spending $1 trillion a year on our offensive wars in our empire. At some point, the money runs out. Margaret Thatcher, I shared it on Facebook the other day. Eventually, you run out of other people's money. That's what she said. And eventually, this government's going to run out of other people's money. They're trying to tariff these products. And like I said before the break, LG's already said that their price of their $50. So you're going to pay that tax. This is the other part of this whole economic thing. Everyone's always talking about these evil corporations and they need to pay their fair share. They need to pay more tax. Well, who pays that tax? Do they actually pay? Do they really pay that tax? Or do you pay it? If you don't think you pay it, I'm sorry. Because you are not accepting reality. It is a cost. Just like labor, the electric to build those things, the parts to build those things, it's a direct cost. The tax that they have to pay is built into the cost of doing business. You pay it. Their profits are going to remain stable. The tax is going to be passed off in the price of the product. This all is tied together. We cannot think that we can do whatever we want with impunity around the world, to other countries around the world. There will be costs above and beyond the trillions of dollars that we're already in the hole for. All right. I think enough of that part of it. Let's just go to some other pseudo-economic news. It's not really, it is economic news. I will say this much about what I'm saying. This is federalism. This state wants to do, the state I'm going to talk about wants to do this, and that's fine. They can do that. The thing is, they're going to expect the general government to steal from everyone else to pay for it. Everyone else shouldn't be paying for it. If this state wants to do this, they can. That's fine. All right, let's now that I teased that enough, let's find out what the story is I'm talking about. This is from Fox News. I don't see who wrote it, but it's let's see what they did. Their reference or post, short little article. Governor Andrew Cuomo wants to give another break to immigrant dreamers by extending free public college tuition to students who were brought into the United States illegally as kids. So the parents broke the law, brought them in illegally. None of them are legal. None of them are citizens. None of them have a claim to anything in these United States. They have no claim to any rights in these United States because they're not under the jurisdiction thereof. Yet Cuomo wants to give these people free tuition. Now, if there's any New York listeners out there, tell me, you New York listeners, how many of you have children that are going to get free tuition? I know a bunch of people in New York. Like I said, I work in New York State. I guarantee you, the vast majority of them are going to say they're not getting anything free. And the vast majority of New Yorkers are not getting free tuition. There may be some. I don't know. But the vast majority are going to be going into debt. They're going to be taking massive loans out. I know people at work that are working, continuing to work. They could have retired, but they're continuing to work because they have kids in college. They have to pay for it. Their kids are, I know other ones there, their kids are coming out with massive loan debt. They have loans. They have massive debt related to their college education. Come here illegally, get free tuition. Come here illegally, get free housing. Come here illegally, get free medical. We'll get, let's get to that. I'll just finish. It's a paragraph. Cuomo tucked a provision in his $168 billion budget plan that would amend state education law to make the undocumented student eligible for the Excelsior Scholarship Program, which covers tuition costs for students from families with incomes up to $125,000. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know anyone at work getting free tuition. And I know everyone at my work, there's very few people that make over $25,000. So the vast majority of them supposedly are eligible for this. None of them are getting it. On Tuesday, he said that the state would continue to providing Medicaid for Dreamers regardless of any federal changes to the Deferred Action for Children Arrivals Program, or DACA. So I just said they get free medical. New York State's going to continue giving them Medicaid. So when I go to work, I pay for them. So they're getting free tuition, free medical, free housing, free food. And they broke our laws to get here. Just because it was their children doesn't change the fact that their parents broke our laws. Now, if New York, again, like I said, if New York State wants to do these things, and they're already $4 billion in the hole, if they want to do these things, they can do them. At the same time, none of the other states should have to pay for that. That's federalism. The problem is today, we have a general government that's turned into a national government, which was never intended to be. It was just supposed to be the agent of the states to manage 18 different little things. But we have a national government today that steals money from us. They're going to put these tariffs on, and we're going to end up paying for them. So they just taxed you because it's going to pass through. It's just raising a tax on you. But everyone out there is going, oh, what a wonderful thing, tariffs. Yeah, get those evil Chinese, get those evil South Koreans, get those evil Russians. You're paying for it. It's just like, again, like I said, raising taxes on this class warfare thing. Raise the taxes on those evil corporations. You are being taxed. It's coming back on you. Stop being so naive about this stuff. Stop taking what they say at face value. Just because they said they're going to raise this tariff doesn't mean that those countries are going to pay it. It's passed through to you. All right, let's take a quick break. I have one other story, then I'm going to get to Patrick Henry for last few minutes of the show. But this whole thing is important. And this whole DACA thing, the general government should not be involved in this. If the states want these immigrants, the states should take them in. The only thing the federal government, and Suzanne and I, and Suzanne's written articles on this, and I hope maybe she'll post her article up again on our Facebook page today. But the only thing they should be doing is passing uniform rules for naturalization. They should not be involved in the immigration. If New York State wants these people, they should pay for them 100%. They can't. They don't have the money. That's why they expect the general government to steal from you so they can continue to have these people there. In the end, what this is a way to make you, the American citizen, unimportant. In the end, what they do with these millions of illegal immigrants is to end around you and get the socialist government that they want and just make your vote unimportant. Just add these millions and millions of people, 10, 20, 30 million people. After a while, your vote becomes absolutely unimportant. And they don't have to even, at that point, they won't even have to worry about you. They'll just continue to steal from you to the point where you have nothing left. And we are Venezuela. And those days are coming. If we continue this tariffing, these sanctions, these undeclared wars all over this globe, we will become we will become the Roman Empire. We will become Venezuela. We'll go to the ash heap just like every other empire ever has done. All right, this is the Cerberus Radio Network, defending liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny. Let's take a break, and we'll come back and finish up the last segment of the show for the day.
Going to have to put the hammer down to keep up with this trucker, Daniel Bailey, in the Bailey Report on the Cerberus Radio Network.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brawndo stuff.
The Brawndo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is to put her on the crops.
Yes.
Water. Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
What plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look. The plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brawndo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brawndo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know? It's like, why do they use them to make Brawndo?
Because Brawndo's got electrolytes.
Suzanne Sherman, shooting straight on everything from prepping to politics. The Wasatch Report, every Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, on the Cerberus Radio Network. Cerberus Radio Network, protecting liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny.
Well, welcome back to the Paradigm Shift. This is your host, Jeff Johnson. This is the Cerberus Radio Network, defending liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny. And we only have about 10 minutes left in the show because I will be leaving about 5 minutes early so I can reset everything to get Suzanne Sherman up and running at 10 a.m. Eastern sharp. The Wasatch Report will follow the show immediately. And this week, this is a bonus. We have 2 shows live this week. The Monday is our normal day. Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern, I'm on. And then at 10 a.m. Eastern, Suzanne's on. Well, this week, you got 2 shows. We got a Monday and a Friday show live. So you got a bonus show to this week. And again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Those that hopefully you came over from Facebook Live and went to Radio Co. Or to YouTube and picked up your listening. So we talked about DACA today. We've talked a long time about economics and the insanity that's coming out of Washington, D.C. They did not learn from Smoot-Hawley. They did not learn from the past. They're going to go down the same road, and we are going to end up having to pay the price eventually. All right. Oh, let's see. I hit New York pretty hard. Let's go to the left coast, and let's hit the left coast for a minute. All right. School rocket team made it to NASA finals, then Cali regulations stepped in. What in the world could they be talking about? Well, let's find out. This is by Ben Marquis. Liberal politicians often decry conservative, closed-minded, and intolerant as closed-minded and intolerant, when in reality it is they who are exactly that towards those who aren't beholden to progressive political orthodoxy. For a prime example of this glaringly hypocritical duality, look no further than California's AB 1887, which implemented a travel ban in 2017 on state officials traveling to 8 different states which supposedly have laws on the books that are deemed as discriminatory towards the LGBTQRSLMNOP community. My embellishment. That law prohibits state funding for state-sponsored travel to Alabama, Kansas, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Texas. Unfortunately, that law just ruined the dreams and potentially even future careers of the Citrus College Rocketry Club, who are now prevented from traveling to Huntsville, Alabama to take part in the prestigious annual NASA student launch competition, according to KABC. The team, known as Rocket Owls, from a small community college in Glendora, earned one of the only 60 spots in the highly competitive competition that includes teams from major Ivy League colleges, larger universities, and famed technical schools. Sadly, the college has decided to stand with the law instead of their own students and toss them a pathetic crumb as consolation in a statement which reads, "The college stands with the state chancellor, the legislature, and the governor in support of AB 1887 as a response against discriminations. As an alternative, the Rocket Owls will be participating in a rocket competition sponsored by Friends of Amateur Rocketry, Mars Society, to be held in Mojave, California," the statement added. So you've pretty much taken away their ability to compete at a significant event that could possibly land these guys very good, very highly sought after employment with NASA, just because another state doesn't agree with you on LGBTQRSLMNOP rights, made up rights. But a math professor at the college, Paul Swatzel, is hoping that the school will change their stance and allow the team to go to the competition if they are capable of raising enough in private funds to cover their costs, an exception allowed for in the law, even donating $500 of his own money to spur along the cause. You know, there was one other story I wanted to talk about, and I'll bring it up here in a roundabout way. I heard the other day on the news, and I can't quote it, and I have it written down because I actually wrote it down. Oh, there it is in my pile of prep. Nope, that's not it. All right. Well, paraphrase. On our local news, and I didn't catch the story. I just heard this. I was in the background. I think I was making lunch, and I heard this statement, and I wasn't really listening to what the statement was in relation to. But the newsette, she read this off her teleprompter and just kept moving along, and everyone out there just was like, "Oh, yeah, she's right, yeah, whatever." Just little drones. She said something to the effect, and I quoted it to Suzanne immediately because I wrote it down in there, that the Commerce Clause gives the government the ability to prosecute certain crimes. That's the gist of it. That the Commerce Clause allows the government to prosecute certain crimes. If you go to the actual Constitution, not the one that they propagandize on the news, basically it says that the general government is to make commerce regular between the states. And at that time, what does making it regular between the states mean? It means that Pennsylvania can't pass tariffs on New Jersey products to give Pennsylvania businesses an unfair advantages. And New York can't pass tariffs on Massachusetts products so that to give New York businesses an unfair advantage. Basically, and if you read the debates from Philadelphia, you'll find that making it regular meant that there was no trade wars between the states. The federal government was there to make sure that there was a level playing field, that no state passed laws to hurt other states' businesses. And that's making it regular. It didn't give them the authority to regulate every business on this continent. It was there simply to make sure that the states played fair with each other. And that's it. Again, the Constitution is a compact between the states. It was a contract between them to make sure that, again, with the Commerce Clause, that there wasn't trade wars, that they were on an even playing field. So, why did I just bring that up? Well, California just passed laws that affects other states' commerce. So, I'm sorry, I'm reading messages on my screen. So there will not be a paradigm or a Wasatch report immediately following this show. Suzanne has to leave. So I'm sorry that folks, those of you out there that are listening, that we're expecting to hear Suzanne next. I hope, Suzanne, please post up something on Facebook so people know. That way, because I won't have time to get it before the show is supposed to start. So anyway, there will not be a Wasatch report immediately following this show. But again, there will be a replay of her previous show. I'm not quite sure which episode is up and going to be played at 10 a.m. But please listen to her on the replay. So let's just finish up this thought. California passed a law that directly affects the businesses of another state. Now, the Commerce Clause is there to keep a level playing field between the states, to keep the states from passing laws that will impact negatively other states' businesses, so that they're on an even plane, that there's no trade wars. So, by passing this law, is that affecting the businesses of those other states? Yes. This is the proper application of the Commerce Clause. Not to regulate everyone's businesses and tell them how they're going to make this widget, what piece of equipment they're going to put on that widget. That is not the Commerce Clause. They're not there to regulate business. They're there to make sure that the states don't impact the other states, to keep them honest with each other and on a same level playing field. So here we are. We have the general government not doing its duty in this instance, because this is where the Commerce Clause is supposed to take place. These other states can't pass laws that negatively impact other states' businesses. But they're not going to do that, because that doesn't fit what they want to do. That doesn't fit their socialist outcome for this this union. And eventually, it's going to be just a nation. I mean, it pretty much is now. Lincoln set us on that path. The public schools have ingrained it in children with the Pledge of Allegiance. We, to this day, you have kids all over this country saying, "One nation, under God, indivisible." We're not a nation. We were a republic, a union of states under representative government that were compacted together. Today is 50 free and sovereign independent states, countries, compacted together to a general government to do certain things for them. That's the way it's supposed to be. But today we have a nation, which, again, we're not a nation. We're not under God. The God that we're under is a small g God. It's the God of government. Try to worship your God and obey God's word and not bake a cake for a gay couple. Seriously, think about it. No, the God that is in the pledge is the God of government. You're worshiping the flag, the symbol of this government. You're pledging your undying allegiance to this government. Have you ever thought about that? And indivisible. We are not an indivisible union. If we are an indivisible union, then you better beg the Queen to take us back. Now, we're not even going to get to Patrick Henry today. All right. Again, no Wasatch Report after this show. We will be back Monday morning with a Wasatch Report and a paradigm shift, unless something happens. I mean, things do come up in our lives. So, thank you for listening today to the Paradigm Shift. And thank you for listening to the Cerberus Radio Network. I hope you enjoyed the Facebook Live portion of today's show. I hope you folks will continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel, will like us on Facebook, and start listening on Radio Co. That's where I primarily would love you all to go, because there's always shows on there. There, for 24 hours a day, there's something running on Radio Co. So if you're up in the middle of the night, turn Radio Co on. You'll hear some something. I'm not quite sure what's on at midnight. Thank you for listening to the Paradigm Shift. This is your host, Jeff Johnson. This is the Cerberus Radio Network, defending liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny.